one of the things I steadfastly refused to do, I'm not saying it was my wise choice, but I seemed to steadfastly refuse to define my who. I wanted it to be everybody. I wanted to be all inclusive. I didn't want to keep anybody out because that was really, really rude. Went against everything I was taught about including people and that kind of thing. And so I started my first business in 1988. My who kind of self-identified for quite a few years. And it really wasn't until about the last 4 years that I got serious about saying, who do I want to be my who? I've lost tens upon tens of thousands of dollars by not doing this. It is not everybody. The first thing I'm going to tell you is it is not everybody. If you can see my screen, I have it called Kick-Ass Clarity, the Who's Your Who edition. Can y'all see that? Okay, cool. So one of the things I learned many years ago was from a book called Goal Setting for Those Who Hate Setting Goals. I hate setting goals. I don't use the H word often. I hate setting goals because I feel like I fail. Oh, I set it to do these 3 things today, and I still haven't gotten them done 20 years later. Or I said I was going to make this much money, and golly gee, I barely made $1. And so it became a way that it was unsafe, not by anybody else, but because of me. I was unsafe setting goals. And so one day I'm reading this book, or I'm at the bookstore. One of my favorite things to do is read. And so I'm just flitting kind of along, and this book practically falls out into my hand, and it says, goal setting for people that hate setting goals. And you want to talk about self-identifying? At that moment, I went, me. And I got it, read it back and forth. I probably read it at least a half a dozen times. And one of the things they do in that book is they called it the bubble sort. I gave it a different name. It's called Kick-Ass Clarity. But the essence of it is that you put down what it is you want, and then we bubble to the top those things that are really, really important to you. But you don't do it by just going through a list and having, well, this is number 1, and this is number 2, and that very linear thing, right, that we get taught to do. And so I'm going to teach you a way, and this works whether you're trying to identify your who, whether you're trying to figure out who to go to dinner with, who you don't want to go to dinner with, where you want to eat. It can be used anytime. And it's a tool that once I learned it, it became one of the most valuable tools in my toolbox. Unfortunately, it also pointed up to me that my top priority at that time was to be recognized. And you got to understand, I really didn't want to see that in black and white. I wanted to be recognized as a great mom or humanitarian or the kindness queen. Any of those things would have been okay. Finding out that when I was really, 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 really honest with myself, because I was the one facilitating this, was that what I wanted most was attention. And I wanted not even so much attention, but recognition. So the goal with this, whether you're doing this to identify passions, your ideal who, is to get to 3 to 5 max traits that you can focus on. And the reason for that is when you have a list of 100, 200, 10,000, nothing ever really gets identified and you can't focus. I am half creative and half logical. And my creative side wants you to not tell me jack diddly do quap about anything I have to do, because the minute you tell me that, I'm going to do the opposite. This gives you a way to focus. So the way it starts is you take a piece of paper, you take index cards, type them on the computer, and you start listing out. In this case, our focus is on the who. What traits does that person have? I'm going to give you a couple examples from times I facilitated this for clients. One day I was talking to a woman who was a coach. She had narrowed it down to women with ADD or ADHD, but she still wasn't seeming to be able to reach them. So we had a talk and we started out, and she first started out that it was everybody. And I said, I'm going to try again. Your answer can be right for you. What I know is that if you make it everybody, it's nobody. So when I facilitate this, there is no wrong answer, but I'm going to point out to you and say, are you sure that's where you want to go with that? Are you sure that's not what you think you should be doing as opposed to what you want to do? What makes your juices fly? Who do you like having dinner with? Do you want to go to dinner with some old curmudgeon that doesn't even talk? Well, if that's your who, then you better find a way to reach that old curmudgeon who doesn't like to talk. Not a good match for me, as many of you probably have already realized. I don't do well with people that don't talk. So that's a preference of mine, right? It's a preference. It's not that you're a hateful, horrible human. It's a preference. You want to be around somebody cheerful, for example, or you want to be somebody who thinks you rock socks in the best way possible. That's what we're going for. It isn't anybody else's version of right or wrong. But the fastest way when I do this, I'm an empath and I feel things and I hear things that other people don't. And what I typically tend to hear is if the answer doesn't come quickly between two things. So let's say somebody asked me, which would you rather have, Mama Red? Money or health? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking and I'm thinking and I'm thinking. And let's say I say wealth. The fact is, I don't want wealth. I want money to live on. But if I'm truly true, that wealth answer is what somebody else has told me somewhere in my, beingness that was the right answer. Or the same woman that I was doing this with, we started out, first it was everybody, then and I had read her website, so I knew that it wasn't everybody, but we had to get her there. We had to walk her through, one step at a time. So her first thing was, she said, well, ADD, ADHD. And I said, so it's not everybody. She laughed. She goes, smart ass, which is true, I am. Then I said, well, male or female? Female, of course. Are you out of your mind? I said, okay, well, good. We have another preference, don't we? And we kept going and she got stuck at one point. I said, well, do you want to work with people that are in jail? She said, F no. I said, oh, so it still isn't everybody. The thing I know about, at least most of the women I've known, we have been taught that it's wrong to exclude people. We have been taught so often that we need to be anything and everything to everybody based on what they say we should be. To this day, I'm 63 and a half years old, and my mom and I are best friends. And she will still say, well, honey, you probably shouldn't be letting your TV stay on overnight because you're probably not getting good enough sleep. I'm like, Ma, I love you. I'm 63. I wake up as soon as the TV goes off and I'm tired of messing with it. And then it'll be, well, you really shouldn't make friends with those that you have as clients. Mom, I'm 63. I don't do that well. I've been trying for 60 of those 63 years. It ain't going to happen because I'm done. She means well. She is a great influence. Who in your life is telling you what you should do and what you shouldn't do? And how can you ever so lovingly tell them to go screw off? Sometimes it means getting out of their face. I've got a family member that I haven't spoken to in 8 years. I was tired of being disrespected the way this person was disrespecting me. I was taught how to love this person at a distance. When you're trying to figure out your who, you want people that are going to go, oh my God, you know how to do that? Oh, Victoria, you can clear out my rosacea. Or Elaine, you can understand this energy. Or Susan, you're such a great co-creator. You want people that are there. They're your cheerleaders. And contrary to a lot of wisdom, air quotes out there, it doesn't have to be millions. Do you really want to work with millions? Do you want to have classes that are thousands of people's big or small? Those are all the things I want you to sit down and think about. I'd like for you to grab a piece of paper if you like, a set of index cards, a Word document, a Google Doc, something where you can start listing these things that you want. The key word here, what you want. Not what anybody else tells you you should have, what anybody else tells you you ought to do. What do you want? When you look in your heart of hearts and just write, don't critique them. I will teach you a method in about 15 minutes of how you can kind of identify between two of them. So, for me, my values. Kindness is one way to put it. Compassion is another. Which one resonates? That's what we're going for, is what resonates in your heart and soul. Because when you have identified what resonates in your heart and soul, then you can reach out to those people. And think of it this way. Whether you like to cook big family meals or not, when you have a holiday meal, you have to think through the logistics. Are we going to go to a restaurant? I'm not cleaning my apartment. Heck no. The hell with that. We're going to the nearest Chinese restaurant. Okay. Preference, right? Maybe somebody else doesn't do it. Think of your ideal who as the ideal guest sitting down at your table in your home doing something with you. You're not going to invite all 9-ish million billion people in the world to your apartment, your home, your whatever, to have a meal with you. Is that a fair? I mean, when you think about it, is that pretty true? You're not even going to do half of those, assuming that we're half male and half female in the world. So when we think it's everybody, we cheat ourselves and we cheat others. And I got that one basically slapped into my face during one of my mentoring calls. And boy, talk about setting you back on your heels. So for the next, let's see, I have 4:30 Indianapolis time. So that's 1:30 y'all's time. For the next roughly 15 minutes, because I don't want you to it's harder when you're doing this over Zoom. Take the time to just write and write and write, or type and type and type what you want. Think of people you'll like. Think of people you don't like, because what I will say is sometimes it's easier to figure out what you don't want than what you do. And I have started there with many of my clients. Well, I don't want somebody that's rude to me. I don't want somebody that swears. I don't want, okay, we'll just flip it around when we need to. Before I officially give you your timing, any questions? Please feel free to unmute and let me know if you have any. All right, go for it. We'll quote unquote meet back here in about 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm I'm an old radio person, and so dead air for 15 minutes is like,
I know it's long.
no. Why don't, if you think 15 minutes, I think 15 minutes is a long time. If I think if you can make a list of the characteristics of the people that you would like to attract, that you could probably do that in, I would say, let's do, that's 1:34 now. How about 3 minutes? And if I was really on my game with Zoom, I would put on some thinking music, but I'm not.
I will tell you, in my experience, Susan, 3 minutes is not nearly enough. Maybe you know our attendees better than I do, But my experience is that's not nearly enough time. And I realize it's the dead air thing. And
Okay, I wonder, could I ask the group, how many people did some pre-work or have done, have a list already? I know I did. So, but then I do my
I know Elaine does.
and, so if we knew who needed more time, we might be able to decide what the amount of time is. So
Are you asking us, Susan, to
Yes,
respond?
I'm asking who has done this listing already?
Diana
I-
says she has a big list.
Okay, I've written lists and have lists in my head of the characteristics of people that I want to attract to my work. That's what I'm guessing we're doing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I would say I between 5 minutes to the max 10 minutes for me would be enough.
Okay. So let's do 5 minutes. Diana has a list. How about Victoria? You have a list. Elaine has a list, I know, because she did her homework and turned it in.
Thank you, Elaine.
And
Shall we narrow it down like to, I don't know, 10 versus 20 or so, or?
We're not going to get through the whole list. We're probably going to, depending on who volunteers for what. I don't think we have breakout room capability in this, do we?
Yeah, we do.
Catherine, Dr. Catherine, who's a friend of mine, is asking if we can go out into breakout rooms. Let's this time, the whole goal originally, and I'm trying to flex, however works for everybody, is I want to teach you the tool. I'm not as concerned with whether you have 200 or 2. So is there anybody that's on the call that has a list that would be willing to let me work with them to show them how this works?
I would be.
Stephanie, was that you?
It's me.
Okay. Is there anything that you have the list written on that I could get a copy of? Email, text, airmail?
Oh, God.
If that's, do you have,
okay.
hold on. I don't want to put you on the spot, my love.
No,
I'm trying
I'm
to
just
think.
not
She could
I'm not
hold
a
it up to
techie.
her camera and you can take a screenshot.
That's a possibility. Hello, Dr. Catherine.
Hello, I'm as quiet as a mouse, haha.
And if you all believe that one, no.
I
She
don't.
is my equal. So the reason I'm asking is because I'm going to facilitate something. And I would like to be able to see the list and you not be looking at it.
I just have a short list. So I'll tell you
Okay,
that.
how about we do this?
I've handwritten it, so I don't know that you could read it.
Well, that's
I mean,
okay.
I'm willing to, and I don't know how, and I'm not a techie, so.
So here's what we're going to do, my love.
Yeah.
Since you were kind enough to volunteer, what we're going to do is we're going to find a place for me to take notes. And I'm going to take down those, and then you're not going to look at them while I'm talking to you. So give me
Okay.
your list, please.
Okay, the first one I have is people I want to attract. Characteristics are people who want to be healed emotionally, and people who are open to learning about themselves and willing to trust me.
Open to learning about themselves, did you say?
And that would be emotionally, as
Okay.
well as physically, mentally, spiritually, all that. But it's emotional healing work, which it takes care of a lot of other stuff.
Exactly. You're so right.
Yep.
Okay.
So those who want to be healed emotionally, and those who are open to learning about themselves and willing to trust me as the practitioner.
Okay. Now,
and I think the third one where I get stuck a lot is those who are willing to pay for my services.
Oh, that's a good
big
one.
Because I'm always discounting what I charge.
Gotcha. Just so everybody knows, believe me, this is something I know well. Catherine, stay quiet, girl. I'm going to shoot you if you say one word. She knows I'm teasing. So Stephanie, what I would like you to do is to, whatever you have that information on, just flip it over so you can't look at it.
Right, I closed it.
Thank you. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the understanding that I want you to trust me. I would
Okay.
never consciously or intentionally cause any harm to you. I do my very best to be both loving and direct at the same time. If I don't meet that goal, you have every right to tell me. What I want you to understand is no matter what answer you give me when I ask you a question, it's the right answer for you, except under
Okay,
one
got it.
condition.
Uh-oh.
One condition.
Okay.
If I ask you, which would you rather have, A or B, and you sit and you think, and so I'm going to say you're using your head instead of your heart.
Right.
What I want is heart answers, because our
Mhm.
heart answers are what get us to what it is
Right.
that really means something for us.
Okay. I got that. I know that. Thank you very much
Okay.
for reminding me.
Honey, I can't do it for myself, but I can do it for other people. It's so hard to do it for ourselves, isn't it?
Do you,
Yeah.
Mama Red, do you
Yeah.
want to unshare your screen? Because you've got other stuff up there that,
Yeah, you're right. Hold on. I will move that out of the way. I will thank you for that reminder. I appreciate it. All right. No. Nope. There we go.
okay.
So,
Okay.
Stephanie, I would like you
Okay.
to take 3 deep breaths and set your intention to be honest and open and to be able to choose 100% for what you want, not a single other soul on the planet.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am.
Stephanie, if you could have your choice between people being open or paying for your services, which would you choose?
Being open.
Okay. If you could choose between people being open or wanting to learn about themselves physically, which would you choose?
Open.
Okay. If you could choose between people being open or being emotionally available to you, which would you choose?
To me, those are the same. So I
There,
don't know
okay.
how to
Would you
answer
mind
that.
if I have stopped you right there? This is a lot of times what happens,
No, it's fine.
you know, in this little tool that we're using. That's a lot of times what happens is we find out, well, those kind of mean the same thing to me. So in that case, you pick the word that resonates the most.
Okay, I would say emotionally, if they're emotionally available or open.
There you go. So let's say emotionally
Is that
available.
okay?
That's absolutely
Okay.
fine. So if you can have somebody who is emotionally open, but they don't trust you as a practitioner, which would be the one you choose?
My 50-year experience says if they're emotionally open, but they don't trust me, that doesn't
One or the
fit.
other. Don't do an explanation. Which would you choose? That they're open emotionally or they trust you as a practitioner?
They trust me.
Okay. That's what I mean by I might intervene, only because this isn't about
It's okay.
explanation. This is about that. So
Okay.
the way this works is as you go through each comparison, you take the one that, quote, took the spot, you know, from the previous one. So now it would change to trust me as a practitioner and whatever else we're going to compare to. So in this case, we might go back through and say, which would you rather have? Somebody who trusts you as a practitioner or is willing to pay for your services?
Trust me as a practitioner.
Okay. This is a very short version of how this goes. And I have actually facilitated lists that were, you know, 20, 30 things long, but I wanted to give you all kind of the the piece about it, it is usually easier to do with somebody than yourself, because I think we all tend to think, you know, we cut ourselves some slack, and I don't when I facilitate it. But the whole point is to get to those top 3. If we take this list, you know, as your quote whole list right now for Stephanie, Miss Stephanie, you have not included in that top 3 that we've chosen so far anything about being paid,
Right,
right? This is about
correct. Yeah.
90% of what I facilitate. That one doesn't go to the top. And believe me, if I had all the money that I probably could have, you know, by making that higher in the list. And that's where you need to look at your worth and say, can I continue doing this work if I'm not being paid?
Do you want me to answer that?
I would like an answer if you don't
What do you-
mind sharing with us.
I would say, I'm going to say yes and no, because I have I guess a bad habit of giving my work away, discounting it. But if I really were going to make a living off of this, no, I could not continue the way I'm continuing.
Okay, so that brings a question up. Do you make a living doing this work that you do and love so much?
No, I don't make a full living. I do nutritional things. I do other things that I get paid for. So too. So, and Social Security.
Okay,
all
so
that.
if you had your way and you could
Mhm.
make this a full-time living, you could do this, you know, emotional healing work that you talk about. And just my experience of you over the last few weeks, when you get to that point, that's when your energy is engaged, if you will. That's when
Uh-huh.
the feel you give is this is what you love, is that emotional healing
Yeah.
that you do. Is that fair?
Mhm. Yes.
Can you do that emotional healing and get paid?
Yes.
Oh, ladies, sing it for our beloved Stephanie. Did you hear how quickly that came out? Did you hear it, Stephanie?
I did.
Listen into yourself
did.
and do me a favor and just sit in that for a second and feel where your energy goes. It is so wonderful to be able to do that because you know what that means. You know, you have that background. Feel what it's like to have those monies exchange hands for the amazing work you do. It gives me chills. What does it feel like to have somebody say, that's all you charge, Stephanie? You just cleared up 50 years of trauma for me, or whatever
Or a
it may be.
lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. A lifetime. A lifetime.
Yeah.
And what would it be like? Because this is a misnomer that I so often hear from women. And I don't mean to assume every woman's the same, because we're not.
No, it's definitely for me the truth
Yeah.
that
Well,
I'm supposed to give it away to everybody. That's
you're not
you
good
know,
enough if you
and
don't, girl.
right.
You know, you're not a really
Yeah.
good person if you don't just bend over backwards. And I had
That's
one of my
right,
coaches
right.
come up at me, I mean, face to face. This was a face to face meeting, and it happened to be a he. And he got up in my face and he said, would you like to tell me how damn much good you're going to do living under a bridge?
Ah,
And it was,
good question.
yeah,
Woof.
it was, I'm not often
A
at a loss for words.
sucker punch.
It was good,
Right.
good description.
Yeah. I could
know,
feel it in my gut when you said that.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. And so the thing I ask you guys to think about, and I'm more than willing to facilitate somebody else if you'd like me to, what I'd like you to think of, Stephanie, if you would, and it's an invite, not a have to. Think about the number of people in the world that may very, very well need you, but they don't think you're worth anything because you're not charging anything. They only believe that what you pay for, you get.
right.
And I would
Thank
like
you.
you to think
Yeah.
on that one and see if that is something that will help you to recognize your greatness, recognize the gift you have of 50 years, 60 years, 70 years of experience.
82 years.
Exactly, because you didn't start learning this stuff just last year, and you probably didn't start just
No.
learning it 50 years ago.
No.
You've had 82 years of life to
Yeah.
share that wisdom. And you know what? That wisdom is worth something to somebody else, and you deserve to receive compensation. If we were still living in a world in which we use seashells to say, I want you to do this, so here's my 3 seashells. Now you give me your butterflies.
Right.
But there is something that seems different about those silly little pieces of paper and metal coins that has us say, no, we don't, or
Yeah.
no, we can't. So my invitation to you
It's real.
is,
Yes, I
go ahead.
see how it's like I somehow there's a piece of me that says I don't have that I'm not valuable enough for what I do. Yeah, it's not valuable enough to receive
Exactly.
my full fee or
Mm-hmm.
compensation or whatever. And the thing that's interesting, I'll be real quick,
Oh,
but I
please.
had my practice with chiropractors over many, many years, and my just favorite guy that died, I had my practice with him for about 20 years, and he billed for me. He billed insurances companies, and so then he could bill fully, and I paid him a certain percentage to do my billing, and I could accept that money. But once he died,
Mm-hmm.
that it all went out the window. So I just,
I get
so
it.
yeah, I see that.
May I offer you
If
a
someone
possibility?
else can get, yes,
May I offer you a possibility?
yes,
Either a good
absolutely.
friend, hire somebody. You don't ever, quote, sign your own clients. When somebody says, oh, Stephanie, I need a session, well, here, book it with my business manager or book it with my VA.
Oh,
Because once you
okay.
have played the role of sweetness and light, so to speak, it's really hard to go, okay, now that sweetness and light's going to cost you $3.50, honey. And that ain't $3.50. That's $3.50, as in 000.
Right.
I actually have played the role for some of my clients and a couple of friends, actually, that, I mean, I think she would say yes to cutting off her right leg and handing it to you if she thought it'd work. And I said, here is what I'm going to do. I said, the next time you feel, like you need to say that, tell them that your business manager has just implemented a new policy and she is a bitch on wheels. She will not let me
Okay.
keep giving away stuff.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
In
Wow.
in terms of defining your who, after what I've just listened to, and to take it to the next couple of levels, I worked in your area for 35 years, and my clients were
Right.
the people who would not, they did not come to us because we gave stuff away for free. In fact,
Right.
they placed value on what we did, in part on the price. In other words, we attracted the people who would gladly pay for the value that we gave. And we did not do it for free. And we did
Right.
not do it for bargain prices. Now,
Right.
we did not do outreach to necessarily people who lived in Campbell. We didn't work in Campbell. That was
Right.
the people who lived in Campbell were in part our friends, our social group, but it was not our client that would gladly pay for the value that we gave. So you've got to really look carefully at who in your area are the people who will gladly pay for the value you have to give. And I think once you really start delving deep into it, you're going to find that they may not be your personal friends. They may not
Right.
be your neighbors. They may not be the people, they may not even be the people in the same business.
Shoot.
You know, they
Yeah.
may be people who will go to a chiropractor every month.
Mhm.
It may be the people who are living in Saratoga or Los
Right.
Gatos.
Or Los Gatos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they aren't living in East San Jose.
right.
And so what you have to do is you have to look at, okay, who are they and who aren't they? And then do this process to really hone it down to a very
Mhm.
concise avatar, a person who fits all the criteria. And it takes a while. I mean, this is, you know, it takes time and thinking and really sitting with it to do this. So thank you for being the demo queen. That was awesome. I don't know, we've got a couple minutes before Q&A. Do you want to do another quickie?
I'm happy to do so if anybody would like
Yeah.
to be the person that's sharing. I don't want to put anybody on the spot if they don't want to be.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Mama Red for allowing me, taking me on, because I really appreciate it. Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed that, Stephanie. I appreciate that as a gift. Thank you. Is there somebody else that would like to, or
Well, I would like to if nobody else wants to. This is
okay,
Sarah.
who's saying I want to?
Sarah,
Yes.
Sarah?
yes?
Well, come on. Is there a way that I can get hold of a copy of your stuff?
No,
Or you
mine is
tell
also
me what to
mine is also written on a piece of paper.
Well, then will you give me 2 seconds to pull up something that I can type in?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so give me a few. Go.
Well, I don't need this in the list. I want to work with women over 55. or
Okay.
close. Yeah.
Got it.
Smart, liberal, fun, invests in self, sufficient expendable income,
Now, are those 2 separate ones?
they may be the same thing.
Okay, we'll see. Go
Kind,
ahead. Mm-hmm.
compassionate, spiritual, self-aware, wants to be of service, positive. I don't know what the inverse of this is, but she doesn't whine.
I got that one. How about has a positive attitude?
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's
Totally
okay.
up to you, my love.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Anything else you want me to do, or can we go?
The only other thing I think I really would like in there is a sense of humor.
Got it.
Sarah,
Gotcha.
that's my list.
What'd you say, Susan?
Your list is
I
my list.
copied Susan.
Sarah, you cheated. All right. Are you ready to get started?
I am.
Okay. So remember that no answer is wrong. It's not a matter of right and wrong, but I will, if I think you're using your head instead of your heart, I'm going to point it out. And then
Okay.
if you want to tell me to stuff it, that's okay. So I'd like you to start by remembering that this is a heart thing, not a head thing, not a logic thing. This is whatever makes your energy go up. By definition, that's what we're going to focus on. So I'd like you to take 3 deep breaths. Come here and stay right here. Make sure you're not looking at your list because I'll read it to you. And you tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Miss Sarah, first of all, thank you for allowing me to do this with you. And I'm going to ask you to compare two things, and you're going to choose the one you want. Keyword being you want and what's most important.
Right.
So if you could have somebody who was liberal or somebody who had sufficient expendable income, which would you choose?
Liberal.
Okay. If you could have somebody who was liberal and wasn't spiritual, which would you rather have, liberal or spiritual?
Spiritual.
Spiritual or wants to be of service? Oh, thank you for that. You gave us the greatest gift. This happens in real life, right? This happens. So let me try it another way, if I may. So we have spiritual and wants to be a service, right?
Yeah.
So let me try it this way. If for whatever days remain on the planet for you, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, you could work with somebody who was spiritual, but you could never work with somebody who wants to be of service.
Wants to be of service.
Did y'all notice how there's that dynamic of the answer? And it's not wrong. And it may be that those are kind of similar to you, Sarah. You know, when you sit back, that's your definition.
Right.
So if you could work with somebody who wants to be of service or they are smart, which would you choose?
Wants to be of service.
Okay. Now, was that your head's answer or your heart's answer?
It was, I'll get the other one back later.
I love it. Thank you for that. Oh my goodness, I love it. So if you could be working with people who want to be of service, but they were men under 55, which would you choose?
Oh, Lord.
I did that one on purpose. I know that's what you say. However, if you come down to the point where, you know, it's a choice, those are the kinds of choices you're going to face. Just so I think I know your answer. Would you state it?
Whatever the opposite was for men.
Wants to be of service.
Wants to be of service.
So if you could work with, which would you choose between wants to be of service and fun?
Oh. Wants to be of service.
Okay. One more. Wants to be of service or has a positive attitude?
Oh, this is hard, Mama Red. Wants to be of service.
Okay. Now, what I tend to do when I do these is I work to get the top 3. So we go through the process, you know, with like we just did and come up with number 1, which what I heard you say is wants to be of service. You know, that's what kind of bubbled up. And I liken this to going to the eye doctor to get your eyeglasses adjusted. And you know how the doctor goes, which is better, A or B?
Oh yeah, and I always think I'm saying the opposite of myself from the time before.
I know, I get you. Have the same thing. So when I do this with people as part of, you know, either a coaching program or this, I will take the others and then we'll start again. So we would take wants to be a service out of the list. You know, that's now your number 1. And we would do it again. And we might start with, which would you rather have? Smart or has a sense of humor?
A sense of humor.
Okay. So that's what we would do. And now we would go down, but we don't ever compare again to,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said we would start using that if you were winner of that A/B test.
Right.
And we compare, and we won't ever compare again to wants to be a service. That's your current number 1. And so that's how I take
thank
people
you.
through.
That's
this.
really good.
You're welcome. And it's funny how when I had it done the first time and I was doing this, I had that same thing. Dang, this is hard. And what I will tell any of us here, including me, if we forget to charge for our services and forget for that to be in that top group, we may be sitting out under a bridge. And I have a feeling that's not the most comfortable place to be. I want to tell y'all thank you. I absolutely love doing this. I hope that it was valuable for you guys, whether you volunteered or not. So Susan, thank you for the honor of being part of this. And to each and every one of you, thank you for being here and brightening my world and my day.
Thank you, Mama Red. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Really fun.
You're very, very welcome. Thanks to each of you.
I think I love this process because it is like a game, and there's nothing better, in my opinion. And it's so funny because Sarah, I have a list and it has everything that you said.
I told you I copied from you, Susan.
Ah!
But if we can make things fun and we can play games to get to the core of what's important, to develop our presence, to communicate our value, to play on social media, this is what it's all about. Now, there's a second step to this, and everybody will need to kind of play this game maybe with themselves to narrow down to the point where you've got a list that is prioritized and that is very clear about who your who is. And then I'd like you to do what Mama Red has done. And I think that I will email you the link to, and I'll post it also on the membership site, for the story that she wrote about her own avatar after going through this process. And so this really, I love it because it's creative writing, and because you all are creatives, whether you're writers, and there's a ton of writers in our group, artists, people who are creatives, like to tell stories. And this really lends itself also to the fact that when we communicate on social media or in the world, if we can tell stories, that is a big attractor. People love to hear stories. So I want you to write a story about your avatar, who your avatar is. And I don't know, do you have yours with you, Mom?
I do. I think I just shared screen. Can everybody see something that says Mama Red Knight, AKA Jerry Lynn?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So just read the first 3 paragraphs because.
Okay. And so just so y'all know, this one came as at 4 o'clock in the morning, get your butt up and go write this. And I was like, no, I don't want to go write it. It's 4 in the morning. I hate mornings. It took me an hour to get up and about 20 minutes to do this when I was done. And it's kind of funny when you see who I'm talking to. Meet Kyle Andrew, 45-year-old millionaire, prodigy, and tech wizard. He's been a tech entrepreneur since he was 12 and dearly loves the thrill of the chase. With a recent funding round in the bank, he's ready to do battle with his next steps. If you only knew what they were. He's charismatic, driven, brilliant, creative. With a wife and 3 kids he barely knows because he is always traveling, always at work. He is now rethinking his priorities. And he'd better do it fast because his world is crashing down around him.
Okay, and so you will be able to read the rest of the story, the rest of the story. And it would be really fun if you would do this. Now, the cool thing about doing this, and this gets into woo-woo, but I can put on my woo-woo hat. You will manifest this person. You will manifest these clients who fit that avatar. When you take it to the next step of writing it down and doing it in a creative way. I don't mean making a list. Some people lists are creative. You guys, lists aren't creative. You guys are creators. You are writers. Hey, Lisa. And Lisa's a writer. She's missed it.
I'm so late. I'm sorry.
Well,
All right, I had it on my calendar. I reminded myself this morning. I got caught up in
oh, well.
at chores and
Happens. So
What you
in
need,
part,
Stephanie?
I've been,
that is the
I
assignment
have a,
for you to take it to the next
I have
level.
a,
You do
okay.
the narrowing down with the what did you call it? The A/B test or the this or that?
Well, since it's me, I call it the kick-ass clarity test, but
Yeah, I like that better. The kick after you do your own kick-ass clarity process, then take it to the next level and do something creative with it. If you are a fine artist, and I don't think anybody on the call today is. I know we do have fine artists in our group, but you could also do something more visual, paint a picture or do a collage or do something visual if that's your way, like a vision board kind of thing. But this is specific to the people the person. I mean, we're going to take it down to an avatar, a person who represents exactly who you want to attract to your creative endeavor, whatever that may be. Okay, so
before we go, Susan, Stephanie has a
Not yet.
question.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you answered it. I don't know what an avatar is. So you have to remember, I'm pre-techie,
so
It's a marketing term of who's your who. I think of it as your ideal guest, the
Okay,
ideal person you want to hang with or do business with. Yeah,
so
I
it'd be
took it a while.
it would be my ideal client or
Yes,
my,
ma'am.
yes,
Your ideal
Okay.
client.
yes, your ideal client. And try to, the term avatar means that it's narrowed down to an individual person,
Right.
even though that person
okay,
represents a broader, clientele. But
yeah,
the more specific you can get, and when you read this avatar story, you'll see, because you start to know this person, you start to really feel who this person is at many different levels. I mean, we're all so complex as individuals that
okay.
writing specifically about one individual is actually representing a group. Okay, so
And
that's
mine will be up
So are
there
we
on-
writing it?
Mine will be available if you want to read it. You can laugh or whatever, but it'll be available online, won't it, Susan?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So we'll make that available for
Okay.
everybody. Any other questions
So
about?
do you want us to, yeah, do you want us to write about our avatar and then send it to you, and how do we
I
do that? If that's what you're,
first write about it and then email it to me if you want, or post it on the Facebook group if you want other people to read it and understand it. This is also just like posting your purpose statements.
Okay.
You can get help defining and refining it by collaborating with
Okay.
the others, or people can get to know
Okay.
you much better by reading it. And guess what? Somebody may read your avatar story and know exactly somebody who fits the bill and refer them to you.
Okay.
Referrals are awesome because if you can increase your presence by referral, that is like golden. That's like golden. So
Okay.
that's how you do it. Anybody else have any questions about this
Yeah,
next step?
thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to, well, I have on my list here to remind everybody to post those purpose statements. You guys did such great work last week with those purpose statements, and I really wanted to have you post them on the Facebook group so that you could refine them even more with the help of everybody else, or like I said, so that everyone can see who you are. It's a way to connect. It's a way to get to know each other, because as we move forward, we're going to be co-creating and supporting each other and referring. So we have to get to know each other to form these relationships. I wanted to tell everybody about the workshop coming up.
Susan, really quick,
Yes,
Susan, before you do that, did we finish that part of it? I think, did we have to work on the mantra, right?
yes, we skipped
Which
the
was
mantra today.
Last
Mama Red
part?
to do this today.
Yeah.
So the mantra comes after the purpose statement, but because I didn't really get people to move forward with the purpose statement, we went back to the who, because that was something in doing the purpose statement. It was with some of you, you nailed it, but some of you, you were still unclear about who your mission will serve. And that was, remember the formula for the purpose statement was your values or your why plus your mission and who plus your, or equals your vision. I think that's the way it went. And that formula is in the handouts.
You want to come in?
Hmm?
Come in.
Hello, what? Who? Did somebody say something? Okay, I thought somebody popped in. Okay, so so we will go on to the mantra probably next week. I will go back to the mantra. I also want to touch next week a little bit on goals, and I don't want to call them goals because Mama Red says she hates goals. I would call them aspirations or ways to figure out your path, figure out your framework of where you want to move toward. So a path or a GPS is probably a better analogy or a better word than goal. And it actually dovetails just perfectly with the Mastermind in the Brilliant Zone Think with Purpose workshop on April 14th. It's a Wednesday, 10 to 1. And this is with Celia Gates, who is the developer of the weather system, WHETHER. And I've known Celia now for probably 10 years, and she is she is the most amazing person in the world. I mean, you all are amazing, but she's a super creative. She's living right now in France in the highest elevation town in France, which is right on the border of France and Italy. It's a UNESCO historical site, and she's going to be facilitating from there. And so you will see on the Zoom, you'll see her wonderful 350 plus year old home that she's living in. And she is just awesome. She's, this weather system that she's come up with is such a fun game. And I actually, let me see if I can share my screen and show you some of the mind maps that we've done in the past. Come on, open up.
Will you give the date again, Susan, and the time?
It's Wednesday, April 14th, and it's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's 3 hours. So I'm opening up 2 of these from a previous brainstorm that I facilitated. Can you see them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we do with the weather system is Celia will guide us through 7 different types of weather, WEATHER, a sunny day, a cloudy day, a rainy day, a snowy day, there's rainbows, and there's all kinds of different things. And you will have a question that you are asking yourself. This is very personal. So these were actually done after a play shop, at the end of the play shop. And it was, where do you go from here with your social media presence? What do you want to do with it? And so that was the question. And Celia guides you through all these different quadrants, and you create the mind map that works for you. Now, some people, both of these people are very creative. And so you can see they did a very creative looking mind map. There are other people that are not maybe as, interestingly, this was an artist that did this one. It's colorful, but it's not as, maybe not as arty as this one. And Lori's a writer. So I've seen people make lists, it doesn't really matter what your map looks like. It's personal. You do it the way you want. And that is how you define your direction. And there's following the process of creating this, which takes a couple hours of walking through each of these different weather systems. And after that, there's a process of defining the weather report, how to make this all make sense, to give you a structure to move forward with whatever the question is and the answers to that question. And Celia has done this with people all over the world. She has been part of the European young entrepreneur, I guess it's a conference, and they invite her to come facilitate this at their conference annually. And she's done it, she does a process called the Global Brainstorm, which I actually have been on a couple times. It's really fun. And the results are so amazing. I have mind maps that I did 10 years ago. And of course, the question that I was asking at the time was different than what I would ask today. But I look back at those mind maps and I see that stuff actually happened. It really gave me direction, people to connect with. Part of this process is to define who would be supportive of your endeavor, whatever it is you're trying to figure out the question to. Who are your supporters? Who are I think she calls them the prevailing winds.
Your tribe.
Who are the storm, who is the hurricane in your life that would get you off track. And so when I look back at these that I did so many years ago, I'm just sort of amazed at how it helped me get to where I am now and get to where I wanted to go back then. I find personally, I'm kind of a hybrid. I am a hybrid. I'm very right-brained. I'm an artist, a writer. I do creative stuff, but I'm also a left-brainer. I like systems. I like organization. I like structures that will take me from here to there. I am a map reader. I do use GPS now, but I like to look at a map ahead of time, know exactly where I'm going. I memorize it. I like maps. I like to know if I get on this freeway and I get off on that exit and I go down that road and turn left, I'm going to end up where I want to go. So this kind of a process of brainstorming with yourself and defining your map, to me, is just the most fun game in the world. And to have Celia herself, I mean, I facilitate this with groups myself, but when I asked her to do it and she said yes, I thought, oh, this is so great. You know, she's the expert. So the workshop is $47 for people who are not in the Play Shop. But if you are a Play Shop member, you get to come for free. And so there is a place on the website. So I put it in the chat, and I will also email it to you. I think I did already, but I can remind you that there's a place in the chat where you can go to the website, Co-Creation Community website, and read about it. There's also a video there that shows Celia opening up a box of her books. The books are available as well, as is a ebook, digital version. Register if you are in the Play Shop. Then there's a place where you just click to register. And if you're not in the Play Shop, then it's $47. Now, here's an idea. If you want to join the Play Shop as a trial for 1 month, you can join the Play Shop for a 1 month trial for $47, and you can go to the workshop for free. Hey, what a concept. That's, what do they call that? A buy one, get one. What is that?
Twofer. It's a twofer.
A twofer, or
A BOGO.
BOGO, that's what I was looking for. It's a BOGO. So that would be awesome if you wanted to do that. Also, if you want to join the Play Shop for the annual membership, it's $47 a month if you pay monthly, or if you are wanting to save a little bit of money, you can do the $497 for the whole year. And you get all kinds of perks. And again, the website is on the chat and also email. It's the Co-Creation Community / posting with purpose Play Shop. And that'll get you right there to see all the perks that you get for being a member. Okay, awesome. And it looks like we're right on time. Oh, holy moly. My husband does not believe that I do this and get us out of here on time. He does not believe it, because I am infamous for talking too much and not.
So you
So
recorded this. Susan, you recorded this, right, today?
I did record it, and I did end up
Okay.
not turning it on early enough. I turned it on right when Mama Red started, so we didn't get any of me blah blah blahing in the beginning, but that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And so it
I
will
I told Kim I would share it with her, so
Well,
I
she-
just want to make sure.
copy. Kim is in the Play Shop, so she gets a copy emailed to her. And
Okay. Okay. Good.
in the membership site, it's in the library, in the Playhouse. So it is all there. And yeah, so that's part of the perks of being in the Play Shop. You get the recording. So if you happen to miss one of these sessions, I would also recommend, for those of you who have access to the last week's, that you watch it again, because you will hear yourself say what your purpose statement is and how you got there. And you will also hear what other people have said, which will help you define yours better, but it will also help you get to know them better. Because this purpose statement stuff is important. It really is. This is sort of a putting together your why, your vision, your mission, and it's what becomes your message and your mantra. And so this is how you get the message out. And without being pushy and without being salesy and without being yucky, you enchant and attract exactly who, now that you know, will know who your who is, you attract exactly who will gladly support you in whatever you're doing. And that support may be buying your book. That support may be signing up for your coaching program. That support may be helping you develop your nonprofit. That may be with your nonprofit, it may be acquiring grants so that you have funding for your nonprofit, or donors, or people who will gladly give you what you need. If you're a coach, you want to be paid for what you do. You don't want to just be giving it away for free. There's a point where you've got to recognize that you don't want to live under the bridge. And, we don't want to be there. I was on a call yesterday with Betty Louise about our nonprofit program that we do. And it centers around the homeless folks. And really, we're all, I hate to say it, we're all so vulnerable to living under the bridge. It only takes one catastrophic thing to push you over the edge and be living under the bridge. Unless you're lucky enough to have income that we're all of an age. If we were able to have a nest egg that will support us until we leave the planet, yay. But I know I'm not. So, yes.
Susan, may I ask? I need to go, but I couldn't understand. What did somebody say to Mama Red that really was a gut punch? And she just.
They asked her about the making money, and whether and it was something about, it got down to the core of, do you want to just do this because it makes you feel good, or do you want to live under a bridge? Living under the bridge was it.
Oh, okay. So I did hear that. I thought there was something I didn't hear. Okay.
Well, listen to the recording.
It's
Maybe
me.
I'm missing something, but I thought it was because of placing value on what you do and having people pay for the value that you give.
Right. It was, yeah.
Living
It was me, and it was about me discounting my services all the time. And she asked me if I could make a living on doing the work I love. And I said, no, I cannot, and I do not. And when then she said something about living under the bridge, which is where I could be if I didn't have, some Social Security and some other stuff. And so when she said that, it was like,
okay.
got me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I will wrap it for today. Anybody is welcome to stay for another half hour if you just want to talk to each other. And I would love to know who Suzanne is.
Susan, thank you. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to head out, but I really enjoyed it, and I thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
And I'm
it
so
was
happy
great.
you have
Yeah.
great bandwidth, great internet. I'm so happy for you.
Me too. And I have to get a light. I'm going to go to your list and see which light to buy because I need a light up there.
And can I just say one more thing? Oh, I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm just going to say one more thing. I'm looking forward to doing the homework again because I didn't know the who was a client. I thought it was just the who would you want in your home having dinner with you? And I thought, what an interesting question. This must lead to something. Now I know the who is a client, so my list will be very different.
Okay, well, good. We'll come back and be part of the group again. I know it's hard with the timing and everything, but I love having you, and I want to talk with you about being one of our inspirers.
Oh, lovely.
Because you would be awesome.
Happy Easter if you celebrate.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you. Sorry,
Thank
Lisa.
you, everyone.